What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Cover It 2 podcast. As always, I'm your host, Lawson Turner, and it's officially the finals week. The Dallas Mavericks are going to Boston for game one of the NBA Finals against the Boston Celtics, obviously, and this series should be awesome. We've got superstar power on both sides, in Luka and Kyrie on one side, and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown on the other. We're going to see in my opinion and a lot of people's opinion, the best team for the entire year and postseason thus far in Boston, who they rolled in the regular season, they rolled in the postseason, and I think that stylistically both teams have things that they can throw at the other. Now, let's start with what I think Boston can and what they're going to end up having to do against Luka and Kyrie. In theory, they have four players they can throw at Luka, and they're all kind of different types of defenders. So one of the keys, like I mentioned, is how are they going to defend Luka? They Derek White, really good defender. I don't think he is strong enough to, because we've seen Luka through the previous three rounds. Whenever he gets a smaller defender, either just kind of go into the low post and back them down to the paint, and either he'll play make when he gets doubled off the post, or he'll just hit a step back mid range shot, and it's a high efficient shot when it is Luka Doncic shooting the ball. Then there's Drew Holiday, which it's the Lou Dort version of a defender, a low center of gravity defender. He's not the tallest, but he is a fire hydrant when it comes to guarding, especially guards, and sometimes your not undersized wing, because we know why Drew's on this team. Boston made this trade last offseason too. Okay, whoever we go against, Drew, go guard their best player, go guard their best scorer. And Drew's been fantastic, and his offense has picked it up over the past handful of games this postseason, but we'll get to that later. Jaylen Brown, freaky athletic that could, once again, these four defenders, and I haven't named Jason Tatum yet, who, and he's number four. They all play really good defense, but they're built differently. Derek White, rangy. Drew Holiday, low center of gravity, really strong. Jaylen Brown, freakishly athletic, and Jason Tatum is just his body and what he can do on the defensive end when engaged can give Luka some fits, because he's bigger than Luka size wise, range wise. There's a lot of things that Tatum can do on the defensive end, but there's a price to that. If they're gonna throw Brown and Tatum and have them, you get Luka for a couple possessions, I'll get him for a couple possessions, it's gonna limit the energy and what they can throw at Dallas on the offensive side of the floor. Now, the biggest star point for the series to me is Kristaps Porzingis' health. That's for Boston. Can Porzingis, when he comes back, because he's currently questionable with the calf injury that has knocked him out for the past two rounds, and he only played 13 minutes in Game 4 against Miami. I think that if he unlocks their offense, because you can't. He's so good in the pick and pop game. He is so good in the, okay, Boston's starting to get a little stagnant. They're starting to take a lot of tough shots, and Dallas can go on a run. They can just say, okay, Kristaps, go get on the low block, get at the elbow, and work out of the post. And for the entire regular season, he's been one of the best post players in the NBA. And he really unlocks their offense. Now, what I mean by that is when Al Horford is in the game at the 5 for Boston, he is still really there. It's interesting because Al Horford and Porzingis, in theory, they do a little bit of the same thing on the offensive end of the floor. They space the floor really well. They're fantastic. They're good enough. Well, Al Horford's a good screen setter. Porzingis can't. He's a hit and miss when it comes to setting screens, but like I mentioned, he's great in the pop game. He stretches the floor out a lot further from the basket than Al Horford does. Al Horford's more of a wing to corner 3-point shooter, in which Porzingis is a step and a half past the logo. And I think that generates a lot of issues, and I could see Dallas going a lot more zone because Derek Jones. I said Derek Jones. Derek. There goes Derek again. Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively. There we go. They're outstanding rim protectors. And if you're gonna have them guard Porzingis, 26 feet from the basket, it's not benefiting their superpower on the defensive side, which is defending the rim, blocking shots, using their athleticism. Now, some other X factors I have for Boston. Jason Tatum needs to keep his turnovers low. We've seen Jason Tatum get a little turnover happy, especially in the only other finals he went to in 2022 against the Warriors, and play like a superstar. This is his moment. If he wants it, go get it. I'm not saying it'll be the only chance that they have, but you're not going to have an easier path to this point than you had this season. You won 64 games the regular season. Every team you played in the postseason was without their best player for bits of the series, if not the entirety of it, against the Miami Heat. You're not going to get another chance as easy as this. Now, it's not going to be easy, but this is going to be Tatum and Brown. It's going to have to be their series. They're combining for 51 points per game this postseason between both of them combined. Jason Tatum at 26, Jaylen Brown at 25. And can Drew Holiday stay productive on the offensive end? Like, that to me is a real question, because through the first handful of games in this postseason, Drew Holiday looked to be a shell of himself on the offensive end. Now, once again, like I mentioned earlier, he's not there for offense. He's there to be hellacious on the defensive side of the ball. Now, over, the Eastern Conference Finals and the last two games against the Cavs, he's been a lot better than what his numbers say for the totality of the postseason. He's been a great spot up shooter. Other than one game against the Pacers, he's been a really good on ball playmaker that, it takes the ball out of Tatum's hands to where he doesn't have to worry about, okay, now I have to get everything going myself. The last point I want to make about Boston before I go over to Dallas: bench production. Dallas. Boston has the best starting five in the NBA all season long: Brown, Tatum, Derek White, Porzingis, and Drew Holiday. But when some of those guys need to rest, I don't know how. Now, I don't know how your Peyton Pritchards of the world is going to be. How effective are they going to be? Because for as good as he is as a knockdown shooter and as a backup point guard, and how good Al Horford is as your backup center, Luka Luka's going to put whoever Peyton Pritchard or Al Horford is guarding. Come set this screen. I'm going to get a switch. I'm going to put whoever's on me, if they chase me or if they chase over the screen, in jail. I'm going to play with them on my back to where they can't do anything. And we saw even in the Indiana series, now Al Horford was fantastic for the entirety of the series. They started to pick on him a little bit. And it's nothing that, because Al is still great in his role, especially off the bench. He stepped up big in the Eastern Conference Finals when Porzingis, remained out with his calf. I just think that this is I'm going to get into my thoughts and predictions after I focus on to Dallas. Luka's been nothing of sensational. He's been the best player in this playoffs, averaging 29. Let's round up here: 29, 10, and 9. Like, He's been fantastic when his team needs it the most. He's picked defenses apart his playmaking and shot with his playmaking and shot creation and making. Second to none. Second to none. Him and Kyrie have now. Kyrie's kind of been up and down. He'll be fantastic for 2 games, and then he might have not a goose egg, but he'll have a game in which he's not very efficient. He looks disengaged on the offensive end. But this team is a really good defensive team. Not taking anything away from Boston, but I think Dallas might have the edge when it comes to a defensive team and scheme perspective because Luka has shown this postseason when engaged on the defensive end, he's actually a pretty good defender, on-ball defender. That is the now Minnesota didn't make him work as much on the defensive end as OKC did, but I could see once again Boston trying to get Luka, trying to get a switch onto Tatum or Brown and Brown because Luka's feet on the defensive end as a on-ball defender. Now when you look at the percent that he's holding uh, offensive players to when they shoot the ball is just over 41%. I think it's at 42.3% field goal percentage when guarding the person who's shooting the ball. But to get back on track, uh, I think that like your role players, it goes to Dallas. P.J. Washington has been fantastic. Derrick Jones Jr., high flyer, good wing defender, 3 and D, really long, rangy, and has explosive bounce. Daniel Gafford has been fantastic. He's been a fantastic rim protector, and he's been a great lob threat. And that's what Dallas is asking their bigs to do. They're saying, can you defend the rim, and can you catch lobs, and can you take high percentage shots? And for as good of a rim protector as Porzingis is with his size and his ability to block shots, I think that they're going to be really important, them being Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively on the offensive end of the floor. Because we know how important they're going to be on the defensive end. But on the offensive end, I think that Boston's going to be in for it this series, and especially in game 1, because it's like, oh shit, we beat up on the Heat, we beat up on the Celtics, we swept Indy, and now it's, oh, well, we had a crazy easy path, and I don't know if we're going to be up for it against Dallas. Now, to go into the X factors I have for Dallas. Josh Green off the bench is going to have his hands full because, his on-ball pressure has been fantastic through this postseason. He's been like an energy bunny off the bench on the defensive end of the floor. He's been that pesty, defender that comes off the bench. And is he the defender like a Drew Holiday is? No. But he has great hands. He has fast hands. He can get in. He can deflect some passes and can make it really tough because he's not overly tall, but he has long arms. He's a longer, rangier guy, and especially a defender. I think Maxi Kleber is not the key to Dallas winning because obviously if Luka and Kyrie don't play good, then they have their chances go way down. Maxi Kleber to me is going to be very important this series. Why is that? Because when Boston goes small with Porzingis still out there and can space the floor, when Maxi Kleber enters the game and when he hurt his shoulder in the first round against the Clippers, I was like, well, damn, because Boston sees in Porzingis, Dallas sees it at a smaller level with Maxi Kleber. When he comes in the floor, when he comes onto the floor, I should say, that gives Dallas more room to operate. He's a fantastic 3-point shooter. He's not a good rim protector, but he is tall and big, and he can make it at least tougher in the paint due to you're not losing that much size when If Gafford gets into foul trouble, Lively comes in. Then when Lively needs rest, Maxi Kleber can come in, and he doesn't even have to play the 5. He can play the 4, and then still have your rim protector in either Gafford or Lively. So I think with how he spaces the floor, whether it be on the wing or in the corner, that gives so much space for Luka and Kyrie to operate, in which we've seen them all postseason, especially last series, just be awesome against one-on-one defense. Now it's going to be, when does Boston blitz, a pick and roll against Dallas, if they do it all, or if they say, you know what, Drew Holiday, you got him, and that's your man. Or do they blitz and try and get it out of Luka's hands and try and force it into, Derrick Jones corner threes or PJ Washington corner threes? Or if Luka's, in hell, what can Kyrie do? And it's this series, like I mentioned before when I started, this series is going to be so fun because you've got, in theory, you have the battle of the X's. Porzingis in Dallas didn't work, goes to Washington, gets traded to Boston. Kyrie in Boston, then goes to Brooklyn, and now is in not his last stop, but the perception of Kyrie was that, locker room cancer, fantastic ball player, but when it comes to your off the court stuff, he's little loony. But a lot of your most talented, not best, talented players have been a little, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Yeah, though, but this series is going to be awesome. I'm predicting Dallas in 5 or 6. I think that the level of the level of intensity, I don't think Boston's ready for. I don't think Boston has a pure answer to, stop Luka, other than, either have Drew go guard him and have Derek White on Kyrie Irving and just say that's what it is. Go crazy on the defensive end. And I just think for a lot of these finals, when you look back on, like, the Lakers, when the Lakers had their title run in the bubble, when Golden State was, going ballistic on the league, when you look at when Milwaukee won, if you have a all-time great player, that's normally who wins these series. And I don't think Boston has an all-time great player. At best case scenario, to me, Tatum's like the fifth best player in the league. And Luka's best case scenario, he's 2. Right now, I think Jokic still has the crown. But if Luka wins this, there's going to be a lot of discussion if Luka's the best player in the world. And we're going to see over the next 2 weeks if that's true. Well, that's all I have for you guys in this episode of the Cover 2 podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at the Cover 2 Pod 26. Link will also be in the description to make it a little bit easier to find. As always, thank you so much for watching. I will talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.